All right, today we are diving headfirst into a pretty wild culinary adventure. We're going to follow one man's personal quest to eat some of the most unusual and, let's be honest, daring foods on the entire planet.
So, let me ask you something. What's the most adventurous thing you've ever eaten? Go on, really think about it for a second. Was it like crickets? Escargot, maybe? Well, get ready, because the journey we're about to go on might just completely redefine what you consider adventurous.
And that quote right there, "I live to eat, not eat to live," that's the whole philosophy of the man whose food journey we're about to explore. His name is Clemens, and he is going to be our guide through a world of some truly exotic eats. So what's this all about? Well, we are exploring a personal list of exotic foods put together by Clemens. He's a self-proclaimed gastronaut who basically cataloged all of his wildest culinary experiences from his travels.
You know, the funny thing is, this whole thing started because Clemens just wanted to try something new. But before he did, he figured he should probably take stock of all the unusual things he'd already eaten. And, well, as it turns out, that list was already pretty long. In this quote, this just perfectly illustrates the kind of palate we're dealing with. Clemens is setting his own standard for adventure. And it's way different from the everyday. And you know what? He seems perfectly happy with that.
Okay, so our journey begins in Asia, a continent that is just famous for its incredibly diverse and, often challenging cuisine. And we are starting with a big one, balut. Clemens points out that just looking at the little bird before eating it was a huge mental hurdle. It's a classic example of how the challenge can be more in your head than on your tongue.
Now, this table just gives you a taste of the sheer variety he tried in Japan. And look at the range. You've got stringy horse sashimi that he'd actually eat again, right next to the famously dangerous fugu, which, by the way, he said tasted like, not much. But then you get something like grilled chicken hearts, which he calls standard delicious izakaya fare. Basically, just a normal tasty bar snack. It really proves that exotic doesn't always mean you're not going to like it.
But even our super adventurous eater has his limits. And for him, it was not so. That texture, those, and I'm quoting here, connective strings of snot, was a total deal breaker. It's such a great reminder that sometimes it's not about the flavor, it's the feel of the food that's the biggest challenge. All right, moving on to Hong Kong, where we see this really fine line between a delicacy and something a little unsettling. For Clemens, frog's legs braised in a clay pot? A favorite midnight snack. Turtle soup, though, he called it a treat, but also found it creepy once he saw the shell and the snout. It's a fascinating difference, right? Now, we get to a really, really important point in his journey, shark fin soup. Now, for years, this has been seen as a major delicacy, and Clemens is totally honest about it. He says it's delicious. But that's only half the story. Because at the end of the day, the taste is completely overshadowed by the devastating environmental cost. As soon as he learned about the cruel and irresponsible fishing practices behind it, he stopped eating it completely. It's such a powerful example of how knowing more can and really should change what we choose to eat. Next up, we're off to a place with one of the most notoriously challenging cuisines in the entire world, Iceland. So he starts off with minke whale served on skewers. And the verdict is surprisingly positive. He actually thought it tasted pretty good, especially after coming in from the freezing Icelandic air. But then we have puffin, which was served raw in a fancy restaurant. And despite the high-end prep, that super strong irony taste was a definite miss for him. He said he'd pass on that one. And now, for the main event of the Icelandic Food Challenge. Hakkarl. We're talking fermented shark. The fresh meat is literally poisonous, so they have to bury it and cure it for months just to make it edible. It is infamous for a reason. And his review is, it's unforgettable. He describes the smell and the taste as pure ammonia. No complex flavors, no hidden notes, just an overwhelming, mushy, chemical sensation. His final, expert culinary verdict? It was ammonia. For our final leg, we're going to do a rapid-fire round of some unique foods from a bunch of other countries. So in Mexico, he found that crickets are pretty much just salty, crispy snacks. Ant larvae were a little gushy, but they were good with rice and beans. And beef tongue, that wasn't just some novelty for him. He called it an excellent delicacy that he would eat all the time. It just goes to show you how something exotic to one person is a beloved staple to another. So what about that classic cliche, it tastes like chicken? Well, According to Clemens, snake meat was actually sweet and more like fish. But crocodile? Ah, that's the one. He confirms it really does taste like a cross between chicken and whitefish. So, mystery solved.
So after this incredible world tour of food, what's the big picture here? What did we actually learn from Clemens's culinary quest?
Well, the biggest takeaway seems to be that our idea of food is just incredibly complex. Like we saw, appearance and texture can be just as crucial as the taste. This whole journey shows that what one culture sees as a delicacy, another might find to be the ultimate food challenge. It's a great reminder that the word adventurous is really all about your perspective.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When we label a food as exotic, what are we really saying about the culture that it comes from? It's a fascinating question about where adventure ends and appreciation begins. Thanks for joining us.